Hi everyone! So, this course is on 3D rendering, but I know that the question all beginners have is now that I know how to do renderings, how am I going to land my first job or my first client? So, I decided to also create this section to give you some advice based on my personal experience. I have been in your shoes some years ago, and fast forward today, I have a company of 12 employees. So, me and my partner go through the hiring process fairly often. That being said, let me start this section giving you some pointers and letting you know what we do when we're on the lookout for 3D artists. LinkedIn is a great starting point to look for a job. We as a company use it a lot, and we have hired approximately 20% of our staff through LinkedIn. Go to the jobs menu at the top of the page. Use the search bar and let's say type 3D artist in the United States. A bunch of positions pop up. So take your time to start checking them one by one to see if any of them are a good fit for you. Up here, there are all the filters you need to narrow down your research, like for instance, the experience level or the job type in case you are interested in an internship or a part-time job. I like LinkedIn because you can check for job listings anywhere in the world. And let's see what happens in Italy right now. An advice I could give you here is to check if you have any connections with the companies. To do so, click on the ad you are interested in, and here is the Connections tab. This is, let's say, important because when you do have a connection, apart from applying for the job through the apply button, I would also contact directly the connection I have, saying something like, Hi Eric, I just bumped into a job opening in the company you're working for. If you wouldn't mind, I would like to share with you my portfolio and CV. And if you think that I'm a good match, I would highly appreciate it if you could spread the word. Believe me, if you have someone to vouch for you, it's way easier for you to get hired, even if someone else has a better portfolio than yours. I have hired 4 of my team members this way. Another team member introduced them to me, so I didn't have to go through reviewing any other portfolios at the time. So, how do you make connections in LinkedIn? Well, that takes time, I guess. My advice would be to first connect with the companies you are interested in. Let's click on this one, for example, and you should follow them. It would be good if you would like their posts and even make a comment so that they start noticing you. Don't make comments on every single post, that's creepy, just the latest ones to show interest in what they are doing. And then check who works in this company and also connect with them and start some friendly chatting. Like, hi there, I saw your LinkedIn profile and your renders are awesome, keep up the great work. And once you have established a relationship, then start asking for favors like, hey, I admire your work, so I would love if you could review my portfolio and let me know your thoughts. I would love to work for your company at some point, so your input will be invaluable. And so on. Another tip I could give you here is to change your privacy settings so that agents and recruiters are notified that you're looking for a job. Log into your LinkedIn account, click on your avatar, and go to Settings and Privacy. Go to Privacy and then select Job Seeking Preferences on the left side. Click on Let Recruiters Know You're Open to Opportunities and enable it. If you do that, it's really important that you update your profile with your skills and you upload some of your best renders. If you're located in the US or looking for a job in the US, you should check Glassdoor. As before, we have the search bar and the filters to adjust your research. You can also create a job alert, and this way you don't have to daily log in to see if there are new entries. I really like this site because it gives you insights of the companies that are looking to hire. More specifically, apart from the preview here, you can select the job listing and then go to the company overview to see the size of the company and other basic info. Then go to the rating and the reviews tabs. So it gives you the opportunity to see what other employees say about this company. How is the work-life balance? How is the management? So this will help you decide if this company is the right fit for you. Also, you can check the salaries database. The info you see here is also shared by the employees, and this is really important because you can see what their market value is, and that helps you negotiate your salary. If you are more into the game industry, then you should check the ArtStation website and the jobs menu here. I am more into interior design and not character modeling, so I can't really give you much of an advice here, but there are plenty of listings for you to review and apply. There are some online platforms with project listings. Freelancer and Upwork are, I think, two of the largest job finding services on the internet nowadays. In these sites, companies or individuals outsource projects or part of a project. So this is not a full-time job opportunity, but from time to time I have also bumped into full-time job offerings. And while you're seeking for a full-time job, it's good to test your skills on those sites because you start gaining experience working on real projects with real clients. Moreover, it's good to create a profile here because agencies and companies use sites like Upwork and Freelancer to find, approach, and hire 3D artists. Apart from looking for job openings, you can contact directly the companies you would like to work for. Most of the times, when a company is looking to hire, the first thing they will do is to go through their emails and check the portfolios they have received over time, and they have shortlisted them. We also do that as a company. We may have one job offering and have received 3 or 4 good portfolios. We will hire one of them and save the contact details of the other artists for future reference. So, send an email to any company you would like to work for and use their contact form. And if your portfolio is great, even if they are not looking to hire at that specific moment, they will keep it aside and I'm sure they will contact you in their next opening. We live in the era of social media, so try to be active on Instagram and Facebook and follow as many companies as you can there. Nowadays, most companies, when they are looking to hire, they just post the ad in their Insta profiles. And I am talking from personal experience, that's what we also do for the last 2 years, and nowadays that's our only means of advertising a job offering. My advice here is similar to the one I gave you when we were talking about LinkedIn. Know the people, not just the company. Engage with them. And if you're about to approach a company through Instagram, it is really important that your profile looks professional and that you have posted really beautiful renders there. The first thing one will do once you contact them is to check your profile. So you can't have just personal photos there. They won't take the time to scroll down to check where your work is or to check your bio to see if you have a website. When you contact a company through social media, your profile must be updated first and your latest posts must be your best work. I think that's all for this video. I hope that you will find my advice useful and that my suggestions will help you land a job. When I work with my clients, I divide the process in 4 steps. And I share with all new clients a PDF that shows the workflow I follow. This way, a client knows from the beginning what he should expect from me. I have adjusted this PDF to the project we are working on. So, first off, I send them a list of the info I need to get started. Once I have all this info, I start the modeling process. First, I will produce some clay renders. What are the clay renders? They are white renderings with no textures applied. In the next video, I will show you how to produce a clay render. Why do I have this step? Because I prefer to gradually reveal the render to the client. If I send the full render from the very beginning, they will start making comments on the geometry, the layout, the textures, the lighting, the camera position, and I may get back a render full with markups. Plus, if we have a lot of mistakes, this will cause frustration to the client. While when we send a clay render, they focus only on whether or not the model is correct and if they like the camera position. So at this step, as you can see here, I ask them to confirm if everything looks correct and if they approve this camera angle. Once I get the green light, I start applying the textures and I produce a draft render. I explicitly explain to them what a draft render is, so that they don't think this is the render they will get as a final result. And I have this step, first off, to save time, and most importantly, because I want the client to confirm that this is what he was after before I produce the final render. I didn't always have this step, but I believe that it's a common phenomenon for a client to ask for revisions, to pay only for one render, and use all the renders you produce in his meeting. So, to avoid this happening, I only send draft renders, and once they are approved, I will produce the clean one. Now, after the client gets this render, if he asks for revisions now, I charge them as options. I hope this PDF will also help you establish your own workflow. In this video, we will see how you can produce a clay render. We said that a clay render is a white, a monochromatic rendering. Open the material editor and create a V-Ray material. Let me rename this to clay. The default V-Ray material is a medium gray color. I will click on the diffuse color and set it at approximately 225. Now, if we start a new project, we can apply this material to the full scene, which means click in a viewport, press Ctrl A to select everything, and click the Assign Material to Selection command. Or we can drag the material on an object and the software will ask us if we want to assign the material to the selection or only to the specific object. We will choose selection to go everywhere. And this is all good if, as I said, we start a new project. But what happens if we have already assigned some textures and we don't want to miss them, like in our case, where the full project has materials? Let's click Undo to go back and retrieve our materials. So, in cases like this, we will go to Render Setup, to the V-Ray tab, and to the Global Switches rollout. We will enable the Override Material checkbox, which means that we want to override the materials of our scene, and then we will put side by side the Render Setup dialog box and the Material Editor so that we can clearly see both. And we will drag the clay V-Ray material we created in the None button. Select Instance so that any changes we will do in the Material Editor will be automatically copied in here. And so now we have asked V-Ray to override the materials of the scene and render the full scene with this white material. Let's press the render button to see it. Everything is too overexposed. If you recall, we adjust the brightness of a render through the camera settings. So select the camera, go to the Modify tab and set the exposure value to 13. I will add the exposure layer to reduce the highlight burn. And also make the contrast 0.1. As you can see here, now that it's all white, it's not really sharp. Where one surface stops and the other begins, it's not very clear. So, for the surfaces to read better, so that I'm sure that my client really understands the geometry of my model, I use the V-Ray Edges text, which highlights the edges of the objects. More specifically, go to the Material Editor. Right-click in the active view and choose Maps, V-Ray, V-Ray Edges text, and connect this to the diffuse map. Double-click on its node to see its parameters. The color here is the color of the edges. Let's make this black and do one more render. So now the edges of the objects are highlighted, but it's just too much. So let's cancel this render and go to the settings. The pixel width controls the thickness of these edges, so instead of 1, I make it 0.1 and try one more render. See how nice it looks now? Moreover, instead of black, I usually set this color to approximately 18 or so that the lines are more subtle. The render is quite dark, so let's make the exposure value of the camera 12. Now, when I do clay renders, I usually have everything white, but when I have a view outside the window, I will show it with the actual colors so that the render gets a pop. So how can we have everything white and exclude some objects? Go to the Render Setup dialog box, to the V-Ray tab and the Global Switches rollout, and below the clay material we assigned is the Exclude button. Click on it, select the background and move it to the Exclude list. Press OK and do one more render. Now everything renders white and we can see the background with its own material. Let me also add the white balance layer and the curves layer. Enable the lens effects. And I am all set. Now that I'm satisfied with the result, I can go back to the rendering settings, make the render time 0, the noise threshold 0.005 and render. Let me remind you that you don't have to wait until the render resolves by itself. When you are happy with the result, you can press the stop button and click on the Save button to save your render. Once you are all done with the clay renderings, you can come back to the Render Setup dialog box and disable the Override Material checkbox. Now, the scene will render again with the materials you have applied.